Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Nurturing Your Infant and Yourself. This is week 5 out of 6, and today's topic is bringing us deeper into the practice of mindfulness and self-care. And what we're diving into today is breathing. So something as simple as breathing, using this as a tool of awareness into the present moment. Using our breath as a tool to pause, to choose our responses more thoughtfully, and to allow ourselves space to reflect on the inner workings of our mind and the inner workings of our entire being. So we're going to move through some breath practices that lead to reduction of stress in the body and emotionally as well. So these exercises are based on the principles and the proven science that the deepening of our breath, particularly the exhales, help to tone and strengthen our parasympathetic nervous system. So when we think of our nervous system, we may think of the communication of our nerves moving around our body, sending messages, how our endocrine system works, and how our cardiac system works, and how our hormonal system, how our endocrine system works, how our cardiac system works, how our digestive system works, right? It's all part of our nervous system. And so the autonomic nervous system really kind of has two branches. We have the SNS, the sympathetic nervous system, and we have the PNS, the parasympathetic nervous system. And so to put in layman's terms what these two systems, these two sides mean, we've all heard of the term fight or flight. So the SNS is kind of in charge of that realm of getting our bodies ready to fight, flight, freeze, faint, but always not in a negative way, right? So our fight or flight system helps us get things done in the world. It helps us be productive and charge through challenging situations. It also keeps us safe from danger. However, depending on an individual's history, if they have faced chronic stress or chronic trauma or any type of trauma or mental health issues in their life, their fight or flight, their SNS system may be on overdrive. And so feelings of irritability, indecisiveness, feeling angry often, or just a general sense or a lack of well-being can occur when a person's nervous system, due to all of these environmental and personal experiences, can put that side of the nervous system in overdrive, causing fight or flight to be a constant and active state in the body and in the mind. So the PNS, the parasympathetic nervous system, is in charge of our rest and digest. So when we think about when we go to sleep, when our body is naturally in a more restorative or restful state, our body can heal and it can kind of catch up on the day without any of our doing. And so while we're sleeping, things like our digestive system is able to catch up with us. Sleep allows our body to heal if we have like a scrape, or if we have a cold or the flu or something along that lines, right? We always hear rest is the most important thing, because people are more likely to become sick, to feel more run down when they're feeling more stressed out. So this fight or flight system can move into other systems of the body, like the immune system, and start to shut it down, because essentially the immune system is not needed if the body is just constantly trying to survive and stay in this really high energy state. So the parasympathetic nervous system allows the body to heal, to rest, to process. So now that we know this, we use tools and a variety of tools. So what I'm showing you today is just one out of many concepts and theories. And so you might have heard of EMDR, which is a type of therapy that has to do with eye movement that can also have a really positive effect on people suffering from traumatic memories, from PTSD, from depression or anxiety. And so today, as we move into mindfulness and breath, we'll see how firsthand how our breath can really initiate a soothing state of being. So when we're breathing, right, you can even just see that was a really exaggerated breath. When we're breathing, we inhale, right, everything's going up, 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 right? This is can be a state of anxiety if we keep ourselves here. So the exhale, and learning how to lengthen and become more aware of your exhales can help to activate the parasympathetic nervous system to help soothe the body from the inside out. Breathing is our human right, and when we learn how to connect with our breath in a way that is healing and serving of us and our families and our communities, we are empowered to make these decisions for ourselves and to put healing back in our own hands. So we're going to get into some exercises today, natural breathing and just connecting with the breath without having any control. And then we'll also move into something called the 3-part breath that allows our breath to slow down and become more balanced between inhales and exhales, igniting that soothing and restorative response in our bodies. So let's get started. All right. So sitting comfortably in a chair, I'm just in a hardwood chair. And so when you do formal practice, if you're taking time out of the day to specifically sit and breathe, it's important to sit in a way that you're sitting upright rather than lying down or finding yourself in a slouched position. It's about setting up the body and opening up these pathways for our breath. Right? There's absolutely space to be lying down, breathing, especially if you're using it to help with sleep. But for this practice, for these practices today in particular, we're going to be seated in a tall posture. So with your feet on the floor, find yourself in an upright position, relaxing your shoulders down your back. If you need to shrug your shoulders and release first before you get settled in, find whatever shifts and movement that you need to. Then your hands can just rest on your lap. So take a deep breath to start. We can connect to our breath instantly this way. Good. And now trying your best not to control your breath in any way. Just allowing your body to do what it knows how to do, what it does 24/7. But this time we're shifting our focus and our awareness to our breath and to the fact that we are breathing. If you'd like to drop your gaze to the floor, you can do that, or close your eyes completely. Trying to relax the muscles of your face here. Being with your body as it inhales and as it exhales. experiencing the inhale, noticing how your body changes when it inhales. Maybe you feel a lifting or an expansion through your torso or your chest. And again, noticing how your body changes or responds to exhaling. Maybe there's a sinking feeling, or a release, or a softening. And as we shift our attention and our focus to our breathing, we might feel uncomfortable. Our mind might be telling us to go do something different, or making judgments about this experience, judging it for being strange or awkward or different. It's completely normal for our mind to almost reject slowing down. It wants to keep moving. It wants to go fast. So notice your experience, notice your thoughts as you continue easing your attention on your breath. As you're ready to now, if your eyes are closed or are lowered, you can start to lift them back up and open. Maybe even letting your eyes open wide for a moment. Let the light back in. Okay. Just noticing how you feel now. You don't have to judge it as good or bad. It's just an awareness and noticing. Maybe you feel calm, and maybe that is perceived to be a good feeling. Or maybe you feel more agitated than when you started because this is a new practice, or because today, particularly, is just a challenging day for you to do something like this. Okay. The great thing about these practices is that we are breathing, and we can always return back to our breath with our awareness. Our children and infants, even animals, dogs and cats that live with us, they are in the present moment. They haven't learned yet how to worry about the past or the future. They are role models to stay in this moment and breathe. And so you can observe your children breathing as they're sleeping, or as they're eating, or as they're doing something new. You might notice their changes of breath patterns when they get excited. When they're sleeping, you may notice this calmness over their body and the slowingness of their breath. So use that which is around you to remind you to continue to come back to your breath. We're going to take a pause just to listen to an excerpt from the book that we've been using throughout this entire group. Everyday Blessings, The Inner Working of Mindful Parenting by John and Mila Kabat-Zinn. And I really appreciate this excerpt because it reminds us that we can turn to our breath even in states of doing, even when we are doing the dishes or feeding our children or going for a walk or changing their diaper and so on. So we'll take a pause and listen to this chapter before we move forward into the next exercise of 3-part breathing. How then do we get started with mindful parenting in a way that feels comfortable and authentic? Do we wait for the right moment, or do we take our moments as they come, such as they are? Do we have to begin in pregnancy or with the birth of our first child in order for this to work, or can we begin any time wherever we are in our lives? Habits of mind being what they are, we will probably be breaking healthy, new ground for ourselves if we decide not to wait for largely fictitious, opportune time to begin, but rather seize the moments that we have, ragged and ratty and messy as they may be. Resolving to begin where we are and now, with the resources at hand, already puts us in the spirit of mindfulness practice. We can explore for ourselves the value of being fully present no matter what is happening and precisely where we are right now, whether we are just starting out as a parent, have grown children, or are grandparents. One way to get started on the practice of mindful parenting is to cultivate a certain intimacy with your own breathing. In quiet moments and right through the day, your breath is flowing constantly. It is always present. It is deeply connected to your life, to your body, and to your emotional states. Becoming aware of the breath brings mind and body into the present moment with wakefulness and clarity of perception. You might try touching base with your breath right now and see if you can keep it in the forefront of your awareness for a few minutes. The basic idea is to feel the breath as it moves in and out, knowing that the breath is coming in as it's coming in, and that the breath is going out as it's going out. You can ride the waves of your breathing with your attention, feeling the rising and falling much as you would feel the movement if you were in a rubber raft floating on gentle waves. Later, you can try bringing awareness of your breathing to whatever it is that you can find yourself doing, and as you deal with whatever it is you are facing. You may quickly discover as you do this that your mind, like all of our minds, has a life of its own. It may not want to remember the breath and stay in touch with it. It isn't used to sustaining awareness. You will find that, like all of our minds, it goes here and there constantly to the past, to the future, and invariably from one thought to another and one feeling to another. It is even more this way when we are feeling pressed for time or dealing with problems or conflicted in one way or another. Anybody who sits down to follow their breathing in stillness for the first time, for even a few minutes, discovers this state of affairs right away. It applies even when the outer conditions are peaceful. Through ongoing practice, it is possible to develop an intimacy with the breath that extends your awareness into whatever else is happening in your world at that moment. Cultivating awareness in this way allows the deep potential in each moment to become available to you. The value of cultivating an awareness of your own breathing will grow on you as you work at it. It lights up the present moment and helps you to hold it with greater calmness and clarity. But extending an awareness of the breath into any activity and any moment takes energy and commitment. It is a looking out for and a looking into. So it is a looking and a seeing, what might be called discernment or wise attention. You can bring this awareness to any aspect of your life. The breath and diapering, the breath and shopping, the breath and eye contact, the breath and playing with your children, or reading to them, or putting them to bed, or talking with an older child, the breath and cooking dinner, the breath and juggling 10 things at once and feeling like you're about to lose it, the breath and having lost it and now having to somehow pick up the pieces and move on. This takes no extra time, only remembering. Diapering, cleaning up messes, breaking up fights, rushing here and there, sitting around worrying and feeling anxious, working or planning, on time or off time are all appropriate occasions for using the breath to be more present. So again, for this practice, we are seated tall. This is a more formal practice as we are intentionally setting time aside to do something like this. So for 3-part breath, the 3 parts are belly, ribs, and chest. And so as we move into this breathing pattern, we'll imagine that we're inhaling first from the belly. Right? And again, if this isn't something that you're used to or this is a new practice for you, you might not actually feel your breath in your belly, and that's okay. We're just bringing our awareness there and imagining that the breath is rising from the belly, the ribs, and to the chest as you inhale. And then as you exhale, the opposite, the chest, the ribs, and the belly, releasing air. So imagine that you had a glass of water and a pitcher of water, or the glass is empty right now. So we have a pitcher of water and an empty glass. So imagine you're pouring water into the glass, watching it fill up with water. That's the inhale. And then the exhale, imagine you're pouring your glass of water back into your pitcher, emptying out. The inhale, lifting up. And the exhale, releasing out. Right? That exhale, again, really important to feel grounded, to feel this ability to relax in the moment, to let go and release, rather than being stuck up in this state of anxiousness, worry, up in this really heady, thoughtful place. And I don't mean thoughtful in a way, I mean full of thoughts. So let's get started with this 3-part breath. Again, we're seated tall, feet are on the floor. And I like to place one hand to my belly and one hand to my chest so I can really connect with the movement of the breath as it's happening. So again, if you're comfortable, you can close your eyes. Take a full deep breath and just let it go. And when you're ready to shift this awareness to the inhale, to the belly, the ribs, the chest, and then exhale, the chest, the ribs, and the belly. Inhaling belly, ribs, chest. Exhale, chest, ribs, belly. Inhale, belly, ribs, chest. Exhale, chest, ribs, and belly. Inhale, chest. Inhale, belly, ribs, chest. Exhale, chest, ribs, belly. Inhale, belly, ribs, chest. Exhale, chest, ribs, and belly. Let's take a few more rounds without the sound of my voice. after your next exhale, just release your hands down to your lap. Allow your breathing to restore back to its natural rhythm. And noticing now how your mind and how your body feel. And when you're ready to opening your eyes back up. So that attention, that focus that we were able to give as we were breathing, it's almost as if we gave our mind something to do. So just noticing maybe that exercise was easier for you, or again, it didn't have to be, it could have been more challenging for you, but just noticing what your mind and what your body like best. As I stated at the beginning of this video, there are lots of techniques and exercises, and it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. So you may have to go through some trials, some things that don't quite work for you, but hopefully over time, after kind of experimenting what does help you and your body, which could also be changing over time. So maybe at one point this technique worked for you and you're ready to move on to something else. It just takes that knowingness and knowing yourself enough to reach out for what helps you and to put that into practice into your life. I hope these exercises have allowed you to feel more at home in your body, and that these practices can plant seeds for you in your own journey of self-care. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I will see you again next week for our last session for nurturing your infant and yourself.